You know, I would, and you should say that, I would call the,
Yeah.
The Cug.
Is it?
what?
The Cug.
Yeah, what is the number? For-
Oh,
Hi, I'm Adina. I don't think I've seen you for, I don't know. Hours.
In about 3 hours, yeah.
Number.
Back when I had hair,
Yeah.
it's about 20 pounds lighter.
Oh,
Much
yeah.
great my day.
And mine was blonde, not white.
Back over there.
I like it.
I'm sorry, what's the number?
The main intake number for
I'll do this, bring the meeting to order.
Pledge of allegiance. Pardon me, Mayor Brian Lewis. Council President Roger Perry.
Here.
Councilor Jeff Hensley.
Here.
Councilor Dina Oliveris.
Present.
Councilor Joe Parsons. Here. We have a quorum, Mr. Mayor.
New visitors?
Hi, I'm Faith Hires. Tammy Lewis.
Oh.
Sorry.
I think the mayor's looking at me, but he's not. Okay, I'm Ryan Vogt. I'm actually on the agenda to support Adina when she gives her report.
Oh, yeah, right. I'm on it.
We got
Tim Bartley. Hi.
Sorry.
I'll make motion to the bills for last month.
I second it.
In favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Make a motion to accept the minutes from there. That last meeting.
All in favor?
Second it. Aye.
Any opposed?
Sorry, who was the move and second just now?
I did.
You moved and who seconded?
I moved this,
Roger.
same as first one.
Okay,
Makes it easy.
We have a new
yes.
visitor, whatever we call us. Acknowledge her.
Sorry.
Oh, no,
That's all right. You're welcome.
Just want to make sure acknowledged.
Public comment, this is the time to speak to the city council or the mayor on any subject, including what is listed on the agenda, except for public hearings. Time limit is 3 minutes per person. Anybody have public comment? Go ahead.
Do I need to sign something or?
No, you're.
No, you just need.
You know my voice, Alex?
Yeah.
Tamara Shears, living in the area, Habitat for Humanity. I just wanted to ask the council, we're trying to get the piece of land vacation between our property and the charter schools. It's a 12-foot strip that's there. And I'm asking that to see if we can change the OR statute that we're going by to a secondary one, that where the city can make their own motion for appeal for us to be able to do that without having to do petition the property owners that are next to the property, which is just the school. So I'm just asking if there's a way that we can go around that. Because it is a school, Mary Northern is the director and they have their school board. So I'm gonna have to wait even longer for them to make a decision of whether or not we can abut to that property and have a vacation. And all it is our property and theirs and a 12-foot easement or a 12-foot right of way, right? Jamie? Between there, yeah. And we're just asking, all we want to do is add that into the piece of property there so we can put the fence right next on the side that we would have between us and the school, instead of leaving a 12-foot alley in between our property and their property for JD to have to take care of.
Is this on the agenda for tonight?
So,
No, this is just public.
no, so they had submitted an application for a street vacation. We were waiting for some paperwork. The intent of the statute is to seek a comment from everybody who would be affected by a street vacation, and that hadn't gotten there. You can do it without getting their permission, but you basically have to pay for any damages that result if there are changes to their property values after that. So we would have to be kind of talking with the school about that, and it also makes it a little more complicated to have it come before public comment right now as well. This counts as an ex parte communication, as far as I know, so.
That's fine, Alex.
Okay.
I just put these for you in the city for the main one that we talked about and where you had highlighted some stuff.
Yeah.
And then the one that supersedes that with just the city itself being able to do the appeal, without having to do that, because we're not going to change the value of the property. We're putting a home there with a fence. And we are the ones that cleaned all of that out, because the school thought we owned all that property.
I thought the school owned and then we owned. I didn't, I've known this council since 1980,
Yeah.
81.
They owned half of it. So half of it was vacation. It was a 24-foot
Yeah.
in there, and it was vacation into half of it, but there's still a 12-foot strip that's there. That just was full of little tiny trees and weeds and everything else. So we proceeded to clean it all out.
That's been vacated a long time ago. It's usually when somebody's on the council, every time you vacate a street, each party gets half the street on each side of the property. That's why it's always been in the past, all the vacations.
Well, you guys owned our property because it was
Yeah.
the city donated that property to us to build.
Yeah, I know.
So I don't have any idea if
So,
they forgot to donate that 12-foot section in with that piece of property.
um,
I don't have any
Well,
idea.
we acquired that property back in, let's see, 81 or 82, we see that right property, probably forgot the Kelly property when they started doing the development. Actually, later than that, because our system was put in 1980, and I think.
Yeah,
But
the
they
portion
didn't live
across,
there.
across the street, that homeowner that owns that, he had a vacation in '89. That was the last time anybody's done any vacationing of streets or alleys in the city of Sodaville.
Yeah.
Um,
It's been quite a while back.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, but anyway.
So anyway,
Yeah.
all I wanted to do was make a mention of it and bring the paperwork for Alex to look at, and maybe the council can decide if they can go the other direction. We would have to, obviously, we would pay for there's a couple things that have to happen. You have to post it, you have to put it in the paper. And it just asks for a deposit for that for the city to hold on to that until all fees are paid. There is, what Alex said, is the public piece that if there's damages, I just don't see any damages, and I can't imagine that 12-foot section of property is gonna cause any issues with property value.
My only concern is that we're looking at trying to improve our overall water system. And we're looking at all options to try to get a feed up to our wells. So I don't know if vacating that piece of property, to landowners is going to take care of our rights of using that to access the water.
We're gonna need to refer this to council,
Oh, yeah.
actually.
I don't know.
Because we're gonna run, a
The schools-
6-inch line.
Yeah, the school's on one side, we're on the other, and it runs right into Denny Wells's property. So you're gonna have to go through one of our pieces of property if you go through that
I
vacation.
mean, I know we have easements and stuff like that, but I'm just wondering how that plays into the mix, right? That's my only question. That's what I'm.
And yeah.
Yes.
So I'm just asking, because we're trying to move forward, we're getting ready, we've been doing our site evaluations to figure out our curtain drains so that we're not dumping water onto the school, because it does that through the winter time pretty good.
Right.
So we want to make sure we're getting that right, and before we drop the road in the driveway into that, and position the home, we want to make sure that everything is where it needs to be.
So like I said, I'm not sure this should be.
Yeah, it's not.
further reviewed here, public comment.
This is just my public comment about it. Just to bring it before council, and that's all, just to have you guys talk about it.
All
If you
right.
could,
Okay,
please.
thank you.
Gonna ask for somebody to make a motion to refer this matter to council.
I make a motion to approve this matter of vacating the property.
Second. All in favor? Aye.
Thank you.
Any other comments?
You know what?
I said thank you.
Okay,
Alex, I'm going to, instead of going into the city reporter report, I'm going to skip through to
yes.
appointment of the budget committee members.
Yeah, so Mr. Mayor, you'll just need to entertain a motion to suspend the agenda and open item 10B.
Make a motion to suspend the item, move to 10B.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And we've got 4 people. Lori isn't here, but she said that she would do the budget committee, and then my wife Tammy and Faith. And then Tim all said that they would do the budget.
Awesome.
Those are all the-
Thank you.
those are my vacancies. That leaves one,
Yeah,
but I think we can do it without that last one.
yeah, he's going to be unavailable for this. The only member currently on the budget committee now is Anthony Morelos, and he is unavailable. I won't disclose why. It is a valid reason.
I totally forgot tonight with the city council, so there's a mad dash up here, and that's when I realized it's about it.
If we still need a,
Well, yeah, budget committee, we're fine.
we still need a fifth, I might get convinced my son into doing it. I talked to once about it. He said it might be better if we needed one. Okay, so if we do need a fifth.
Yeah, if we really need to, like Anthony Morelos, this is the last year of his term. We still have enough people to meet the legal requirement. If we really want to, we can call him up and ask if he wants to resign, then we'll have another city council meeting before the agenda, or before the budget committee meeting starts, and then move to appoint somebody else. Or we can just leave it as it is. Up to you all. The mayor has appointment authority, so. You do you. Okay, so what we need to figure out is who's going to serve which term. So there's one term that is only going to serve this year. There's another term that will, there are 2 more terms that will serve this year and next year. And then the last 2 terms will serve this year and the next 2 years after that. Now, it should be noted, anybody who's a little concerned about a multi-year commitment, you can resign a year from now if you realize, you know what, this isn't for me, or I don't have time. We can appoint somebody to fill that seat. But we do need, for the appointment purpose, to figure out who's serving which term.
So did you want to do just this year?
Yeah, I'll do that.
Okay.
Gonna do the
Pretty sure.
and then rotate to the 2 year. But you can resign. You'll know this year, so you don't have my.
Right.
Yeah, the terms are supposed to be for 3 years. They're just staggered, so we're filling staggered. That's what we're doing right now. Somebody resigned early, so we're filling their seat.
So 3 years. Okay, 2 years and 3. Do the 2 years.
Yeah, Lori will do a 2-year. Okay. That always happens during the budget committee. So,
Budget committee next.
We have to vote on it.
yeah, so you'll basically say that first you should name a conflict of interest that you are appointing a member of your household to the budget committee. So just say, I need to name a potential conflict of interest. I'm appointing a member of my household to the budget committee.
I'm back. Conflict of interest is that you are in my house.
All right. Now you'll have to say, council, I nominate Timmy Bartley for a term extending from 2021 to 2023. Sorry, we'll try that again. I nominate Timmy Bartley for a term on the budget committee ending in 2023.
Okay, I nominate Tim Bartley, budget committee ending 2023.
I nominate Faith Byers for a term on the budget committee ending in 2024.
I nominate Faith Torres on the budget committee ending in 2024.
I nominate the Honorable Lori McAllen to serve on the Budget Committee for a term ending in 2024. Sorry.
And nominate
The Honorable Lori McAllen
the Honorable Lori McAllen,
for a term ending in 2024.
ending in 2024.
And I nominate Tammy Lewis for a term ending in 2025.
I nominate him for a term ending in 2025.
One, okay. Council, you can vote on them one by one or all at the same time.
I vote or we can vote on it?
Yeah, you say, so you have to say, I move to confirm the mayor's
Okay.
nominations.
I move to confirm the mayor's nomination for the budget committee.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Thank you for the information.
Okay. Yeah, there was a question earlier about administering oaths of office. Now, I found that in the past, the city has administered oaths of office to a variety of people, including committee members and employees, which state law doesn't require you to do, and nothing in any of our ordinances or resolutions require us to do.
Thank you, Faith.
So if you want to do an oath of office, it's really just ceremonial, but it's up to you. It's an extra procedural motion that we don't actually do.
We don't need to do that.
I like this.
There we go. All right. Cool.
Report.
Actually, I'd like to suspend the motion again. Recommend that we suspend it. Our COG executive director is here, so I would recommend the council move to suspend the agenda and open item 10A.
I move that we suspend the agenda to address item 10A.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
We're good. All right.
Yours. Excellent. Good evening, Mayor. Congratulations. Thank you so much for having me this evening. I'm sorry. Inviting me back. I deeply appreciate it. It either means that things are going well or hot seat, hot seat. So last time I was out, we had a conversation about the Council of Governments producing for the first time ever that I'm aware of since the late 60s, an annual report to really talk about and what our footprint is and some services that we after that, there ended up being some level of excitement, and you all engaged in membership with COG. I'm thankful for that. And Councilor Oliveros dutifully attends our board meetings, which I'm very thankful for. It was there earlier today. And one of the things that I committed to you and I committed to all the member agencies is that this year, the second year of trying to do it, of course, we would do our best to try and put together distilled report because it tells you very little. I guess I think this is what happened in Lynn County, but to try and do a report for each member agency. So you have before you a report, and it probably is not lost on anybody that it does not contain a whole lot of data. Partially, I wish to just straight up apologize for that. We have some data systems challenges with the realities of us really just now getting into the business of trying to report at this level. And I think it's not lost on you that sometimes there are data challenges probably outside of my organization where you accidentally get bumped in with your neighbor next door who trumps over you. And so we are trying to figure out for much of our data how it is we can do address search to get rid of some of these like zip code issues and things like that. But most of our seniors and people with disabilities, case management, caseload data, and things like that, we can't distill that down at any member agency right now. So that's the labor we're going to be going through. But what I did want to say is, given that we are new in this reimbursement partnership, and given that I don't have a whole lot of information to share with you about I think it begs the question about how to do this. How could we? partner together to make sure that the information about the programs that we deliver get spread throughout the city. And more people become aware of what it is that we're doing. Neil was having a conversation earlier today about trying to get some resources. ADRC line. And I brought information about some of our various programs here today and some brochures and pamphlets. But I really just wanted to open up for you all, what would you like to see from the COG in terms of being able to get information out about what it is that we're doing? You know, getting into the newsletters, stapling signs up on trees. I can certainly have various program directors through the various programs that we deliver come and chat with you all or come to events. I don't think that page is truly representative of what's happening. I think people throughout Sodaville are receiving a greater level of service than what that looks like. We just can't afford it. I also strongly believe that there are people in Sodaville who feel eligible for services and probably don't know that they come to government. That doesn't necessarily mean a lot of the time. So there's some friendly issue. So that was kind of what I wanted to bring today. I have a couple of little updates that I could provide as well. I really wanted to have more of a conversation with that. Now that you have been a member for a number of months, is it fair to say there's probably been questions about where you're getting out of stuff? Is that everything? Okay. And you're about to have a budget meeting.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm guessing that question will come up again, and it's a fair question. But I would also like to say, what would you like to see or from us?
I think
Probably don't
it
want
would
to say more.
be really helpful to have a one sheet bulleted what's available. Meals on Wheels, ADRC, Medicare, whatever, just really bulleted. Call this number for more information, but I think, although I've sat through several meetings, I still am not sure I have my mind around everything that's potentially available. And I kind of get the sense that we have a lot of people sitting in their homes having needs. And you have to say the right word to them to fit them where they are, to inspire them of, oh my gosh, I could use that. So I think it would be really nice to just have single bulleted that might pull people in, and then we can put it on the trees and on the board, multimodal communication.
Do we have an on our webpage?
Yes, and we have something, don't we? If not, we need it on.
Maybe we
Facebook,
can add
need it on
more stuff. I share COG stuff on our Facebook page. We don't have a very large following.
For what it's worth, the COG doesn't have very large. Facebook's starting to die. I get 0 hits on my MySpace page. I know that's all. Everybody,
We got dial. But I mean, maybe even a one pager, we could put it in with the utility bill.
that would be great. Yeah, that would be great.
Maybe 1/3 of the people might look at it because they crumple it, but I found that communication is better when you do it several different ways. So.
Would that be something that we could, because there's a lot of stuff here. We could sit down and maybe grasp maybe what we thought, because I'm definitely like, I'm liking the meal, like obviously the adult foster home stuff, Meals on Wheels, the disability, a lot more, our generations here seem to be a little older. Some of that, just kind of refine it, because I guess you could fit all this on one page, but it'd be a kind of.
I think if we just had like bulletin, and then for more information, and then have backup with flyers and something, just to, because it hurts my soul to think that we may have people out there who need something, and we have a resource and we can't keep them together.
There's a lot of people that read whatever we put in that. I was the water bill on my desk to pay and then read. I think maybe that's why they did them, yeah. Sure.
If you all come up with additional ideas individually and want to reach out or collectively, you know, not only as council, a regular member who faithfully attends. And I don't say that lightly. Today we had a board meeting. We have 22 people on the board. Today we had 10, and that's about the standard. And Adina is always there. So that's a really great, because each member agency that's there at the table, it's one voice, one vote. So Lynn County, Benton County, Lincoln County, City of Corvallis, City of Albany, they don't have any stronger vote than what it is that we brings to the table. It's one voice, one vote. So, you know, kind of leverage that a little bit if there's things that we can. I would also say that Alex has gotten really connected. We do a monthly city managers lunch, and he comes regularly and has brought lots of information. And I think, as you all know, he doesn't just sit in a room and listen. He brings information, and he's got a lot of great experience that he brings with him. So we're happy with that. And one of the things that we've talked about more globally as the council of governments is whether or not we should take a more active role in legislative advocacy on behalf of the region, specifically on behalf of. And Alice was really quick to jump up and say, I can help you with that. Put together a one pager for us so that as we get closer to the next term, I can have a conversation with the board about what they want best and figure out where.
One thing I would ask kind of internally is I'm definitely the new kid on the block in Sodaville. I don't know a lot of people here. Whereas I think you guys have a lot more tenure, and maybe you know for your neighbors what's needed and can kind of call that out. One of the things that I talked to, I don't know if it was Randy last time, about having Meals on Wheels come up and have a central point of delivery. If people, I mean, I know being older, some people don't want anybody at their house. So if we had Meals on Wheels come here, people would come here and pick it up. You know, is there something that would work with our community? So I really would ask you guys that have been here for a while and know people to kind of come up with some ideas.
So can anybody get Meals on Wheels? Yeah. There's an eligibility threshold for it. I strongly suspect that you have constituents here that are receiving Meals on Wheels. They're just happy to go and every time we're not doing deliveries here right now. But that kind of conversation about maybe if we got a volunteer who could pick up meals once or twice a week, bring them to a central location, eligible recipients could become gravel.
All right, bridge is yours.
So feel free to kind of work on those, and if there's other things in the meantime, I will work on putting together some material that's a little bit easier to digest than some of these bigger things, and work with Alex on see if we can, you know, get some momentum around getting things down. In the meantime, I know for most of you, your only kind of connection to the council of governments has been me, and so maybe I am pretty scary. That's fair. I can send somebody much friendlier next time. Some folks
Please make me stay home.
there are a handful of things if you are okay with me taking another minute or two that I think you might have some interest in. So one of the things that we're really focusing on this year is this last year, we received some money from Business of Oregon in the Ford Family Foundation to go out and try and take a look at some of rural needs. And it was specifically focused on rural, which is fantastic for me because I'm always listening to the, hey, your main office is in Albany, so we assume everything you do is Albany related, right? And I used to work for the state, and at that point in time, everything was Portland related. And of course, it doesn't matter where you are in the state, everything's Portland related, right? They're the good and the bad. Like they get 90% of the resources and they're 90% of the profit, right? So I love the focus on rural. As I've gone out and talked to various communities, what I consistently hear over and over again is, especially with like the infrastructure bill and things of that nature, there seems to be an incredible amount of money out there at the federal level for people who have the ability, the time, and the expertise to access it. And most of our rural communities are one person or two people deep and trying to do a day job and also figure out what I'm going to put 40 hours into a grant application that somebody in Washington, DC is going to take a look at and say, well, this grant application affects 150 people and it's $30 million, or it affects 12,000 people. And so it doesn't always have that kind of great excitement factor, and you have to balance that every time you put that commitment. So what I'm in the process of doing right now is there's a legislative ask for some more money to try and enhance technical assistance. What I intend to do with that money, if we get it, is hire 1 or 2 grant writers that are specifically dedicated towards the rural communities in our 3-county region that we can cost share for grant writing. So let's say it costs $80 an hour for me to cost that person. Maybe we would do a 40-40. And then you could help prioritize the types of grants that you want to chase. And if we land the grants, we can help you administer them, because the administration is where there's a little bit of money that can offset that other. And my hope is to create this in perpetuity. Now I'm going to say this, and I'm going to say it out loud, and I'm going to say it on the record, because then I have to hold myself to it. I'm going to hire these positions even better. I think the need is there, and I also think we land enough grants throughout the region. Not only will that money really help the region, but I think they become self-fulfilling over time. I think I have enough money squirreled away to do this for at least a year. And if by that time the appetite is not large enough, or we're not landing enough grants to actually pay for the positions, I'll have to make some hard decisions. But I think this is something that's just too important for our region. There's a lot of money out there right now, and we collectively are struggling to figure out how to chase it. And if we don't figure out how to chase it all together, then we chase it individually, then we're not as good. And when we first went out with the rural grant money and went to communities and said, what's your biggest need? What's your biggest need? It's water. Yeah. And so our 19 other communities in the region, that was their number one need. Above homelessness and housing, above, dealing with the decriminalization of drugs and that kind of stuff. That was the biggest need, almost universally amongst the rural regions. And I think if we were to couple a grant application to the feds that maybe tackles more than one community at a time, that becomes much more appetizing than 5 different applications. Building a water treatment plant costs the same amount of money, whether Sodaville's doing it or whether Sweet Home's doing it. Whether Sodaville and Sweet Home are doing one, it's pretty close to the same cost, feeds more than one community. So that's where I'm trying to go with that. You now have it on your record. So the other thing that we're doing, and I don't know that it's necessarily as much of a need for you all, maybe given the conversation that we just had, is right now we have one land use planner that is that spends time in the communities, predominantly Toledo. Toledo absolutely loves him, but he also spends some time in Sweet Home and has done individual projects here and there. He's also been our point for brownfields grants and things like that. We applied for brownfields grant in Lebanon. And I really hate the idea of having any program that's successful that's one person deep, because I'm just, one life-changing event away from no longer being able to provide that to the region. So I'm also going to move into hiring another land use planner. Not exactly sure what that will look like. Not exactly sure which communities are going to want or need it. But again, I'm hearing from people that if we had more capacity, they would have a desire to get some help with utility mapping or with urban growth boundary conversations. So that's another thing. Probably the final thing I would put on the table for you is, I'm sure it's super surprising to hear that the broadband study says that Sodaville is lacking adequate broadband service. So we are kind of chairing the broadband project for the 3-county region right now. Peak Internet is on the back end of the USDA grant, where they're going to be bringing broadband to the south end of town, or maybe south end just outside of town. And we are working with them to see what the next layer is, because once they get the depth of infrastructure, then they're just one grant away from moving through the town. So we are doing advocacy to try and help with that work. They're also doing work on the north end out to the home area right now as well. So. Interesting. So that's all the executive brings tonight. But I do appreciate you all inviting me. Never had one off of the first one. Some people aren't calling me back, so maybe.
Well, I really appreciate you coming and telling council about all the work you're doing. He said the city manager meetings are such a blessing for you. Just, it's great to be around the people who have been doing this for a really long time and can really school me on what needs to be done. We can talk about problems in the region. That is very helpful. This staff have been very helpful for us. USDA is really tired of hearing to us, because how many years we've been spending on water, and the staff was able to knock on their door and go, "Hey, we need to talk about grants again. Get in there." So that was great. And I'm sure there's a really great path forward for us to better inform people of Sodaville about what the COG can offer them. So I'm really enthused about the organization. Hope we stay, and there is money in the budget for it. So.
And I am happy to come back at any point in time, or again, as you begin to look through the annual report, if there's a program that jumps out at you that you say, I'm really excited about thinking about expanding this. Let's get Meals on Wheels further up. Or I'm interested in knowing more about the ride line. We're moving into a new software system, which should make it easier. Ride lines are programs that helps people who are on Medicaid get to and from doctor's appointments throughout the region. Seems like a nothing when I talk about it, but then I let people know we do 500 rides a day. 500 rides throughout the region, and so it's a really needed service. Again, it's one of those things that where my everything in my gut is telling me you probably have a couple of consumers or a couple of people here in Sodaville that are accessing that service, and I'm pained that I can't provide you information to give you the better understanding of that. But every other part of my being also says, and there are still people in Sodaville who are eligible for that service and they're not accessing. And I think it's great. I really want to, by the time I retire, I want to be in a place where everybody throughout the region knows about the services that they are eligible for and gets to make a conscious choice about whether or not they want. It's not about jamming services down everybody's throat. I don't make any more money when I sign people up. But it is, to me, one of the biggest pain points for me is that we have people, particularly vulnerable people for whom these services could really help, who don't even know. And that's why I need your help.
So how are those rideshare programs paid for? Are they done through grants or through Medicare or from the individuals?
Yeah, so it's through Medicaid.
Okay.
And what we do is we work with the CCO, community care organization that receives money from the Oregon Health Authority to administer a number of different medical services. And I think the kind of the fundamental belief behind that is, if people have access to actually getting to their doctor's appointments or getting to the pharmacy, that's a cost savings, even if they have to pay mileage for it, versus people deciding not to go to their doctor and waiting until they have to go to the emergency room.
So does that cause their Medicare or Medicaid to go up?
No, the Medicaid is the Oregon Health Authority. So people who are on Medicaid do not really have a cost for it. We have extended that into some Medicare. And really that runs through the same organization, and that same organization is paying us to deliver the service. Basically what they do is they pay us a little bit of money for every member that's enrolled in the system, rather than pay us for each individual ride. They pay us a little money for every member that's enrolled in the system and then use it or don't use it. So
But it's already covered under the initial plan.
already covered.
Okay.
And veteran services are under COG as well, right?
Veteran services for Benton. So the veteran services are kind of county right for all intents and purposes, and counties decide how they wish to administer those programs. Benton County has chosen to contract with us to do it.
Well, I think that we owe it to our citizens if we're basically spending their time down COG. We need to make sure we're getting everything we can from it and let them know what's available.
So with that, thank you so much for that.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Now, do I have to see it tomorrow?
Not tomorrow,
Day after.
day after. Yeah. Saturday is the day I really work. Do the
City recorders
report.
Yeah, right. So I wanted to make sure we get an update about our use of ARPA funds. So we had put in our budget this year to use ARPA funds for a street grading project. Unfortunately, there were a number of things that have prevented that from being done by the end of this fiscal year, mostly due to me being sick for 6 months straight. That kind of wrecked our ability to schedule a number of things. Thankfully, we had a call with LOC a few weeks ago, and they clarified that we're allowed to keep this money until 2026. And I think April 2026 is the very hard deadline. But they also say use it as soon as possible, because every time we get close to the debt ceiling, Congress goes, you know, what would be fun is to take all of that money back. So we'll have to get that done as soon as possible. Good news is that you'll see in the council packet tomorrow, we actually have even more money than I thought going into our budget next year. So we'll spend even more money on streets. I know that was pretty important, so that'll be in there. Yay. Yeah, so we'll try and get streets prioritized as soon as possible, because I don't want somebody to steal it. The Lebanon Museum hosted a presentation about the history of Sodaville last week. That was really fun. It's at the Lebanon Museum's website. You can watch the video of the whole presentation.
Yeah, it's so fun to understand.
Yeah, no, it was really fun. I got to thank the presenters on behalf of the city. Like, it's great for them to be doing that kind of thing. And yeah, so the videos online, we helped them. They came here for a day and looked at all of our records and stuff and helped them put together that presentation. So that was
Is there a
fun.
link on our webpage?
I can put it there eventually.
It's a very nice meeting.
Yeah, Timmy was there. Yep. Let's see. So we're still talking about developing a small cities coalition. So there was a joint meeting with some of the cities in the area a few weeks ago. I wasn't able to attend because I had jury duty that day, unfortunately. But I was kept apprised of their developments. So yeah, this coalition is planning on probably activating sometime this summer and putting together a more firm plan with local lobbyists to get a coalition of cities going. Brownsville really next wants to start recruiting with other cities, and we actually met with the mayor of Lebanon today to kind of talk about that a little bit more, myself and Mayor Lewis, Director Burns. So finding there's an appetite among more cities to like really ramp up advocacy stuff.
Are they considered a small city?
Lebanon? I don't know if they're on quite what Scott was envisioning, but when I said, hey, Lebanon wants in, he was like, great. So they're small enough, they're out of the way enough. I don't know.
Mostly wanted to talk about, he wants to get all the mayors together and do a little more
Politicking.
politicking.
Good idea.
Mayors.
Yeah. I went to a meeting at the League of Oregon Cities president, the mayor of Hillsborough, Steve Calloway, went and talked to all the cities in the region about the LOC, their strategic plan, and then Brownsville really pushed them on legislative action in the Capitol. And I was painfully underwhelmed. They gave a lot of excuses about why they can't really get anything done for half an hour. It just blew my mind that they're that they think that there are enough people in the room who don't know how legislative advocacy works, that they can just give up these excuses. I mean, sure, there's probably a lot of people in there who don't, but there are enough people to do it. Just kind of felt more insulting than anything to listen to somebody drone on about why they can't do what they're using taxpayer money to do. This legislative session is getting wacky. There are a lot of disagreements between both caucuses in both houses right now. The environment in the House was a lot more collegial between Democrats and Republicans. In the Senate, it was bad from the beginning. And now Senate Republicans have done enough walkouts that none of them are eligible to run for re-election in their next term. And they're all fine with that, apparently. They've been banned from the building and had their right to re-election taken away because they've been attending church on Sunday instead of unexpectedly being called to the legislature, things like that. They're now filing complaints with the bully for work discrimination, because you can't discriminate against somebody for participating in their religion. But that's what the Senate Democrats have chosen to do. Outcomes for us are a little uncertain. We do have some funding priorities. Rep. Kate has put in some money for us to get a matching grant to work with the IFA loan that we have on hold to finally convert that well. But it could be that this becomes so rancorous that uncooperative legislative priorities are pulled, and we end up suddenly without having that money we thought we were going to get. So that's kind of what happens in that building every year. So you got to hope you live in an area where certain people like you. Yeah, that's kind of depressing in there. It might get crazier. Yeah. Next up, to put in ordinance violation complaints. There was an ordinance violation complaint last month about ordinance 1503. Somebody was playing loud music at a house after 9 p.m. The owner was contacted and they said they'd called the sheriff, and the sheriff said 10 p.m. was the cutoff. And I said, well, we don't have a law enforcement contract with Lynn County, so they don't review our ordinances on any regular basis. So they said, okay, now that we know it's 9 p.m., we'll stop doing that. The mayor of Lebanon did bring up an interesting idea today. He wanted to research possibly having Sodaville contract with Lebanon to get law enforcement services. That is, of course, something we would have to pay for. And if we're interested in looking at that, we'd have to look at contracting with Lebanon or Lynn County Sheriff to see who might give a better deal. Usually sheriff's departments are the ones that will contract for uncovered cities, but it's not unheard of. Harrisburg actually has a city in Lane County. Their police department patrols Harrisburg, Coburg. It's near enough, so they just hop over. And yeah, so a number of cities are funding law enforcement by adding a fee to their utility bills every month. We just raised ours, which, you know, if we added like $5 a month to the utility bills, that would bring in $8,500 a year, and that might be enough to regularly do like maybe a quarterly sting for speeding, yeah, traffic patrol, that kind of thing. Like, yeah, we're able to get it kind of once a year, just kind of as a favor. But we could ask. It's something we could research. I don't think anybody wants their bills to go up, but
By the time they was on here, they wasn't giving out no tickets.
They was giving warnings.
Well, we're giving up tickets.
The first day that they was here, they gave out 15 tickets. But then after that, they, you know, I think we've had quite a bit of success. I'm noticing people driving slower. But I would get those ones that.
There's a few that still go flying from the school. And then there's another kid that comes through here in a boring sports car. I've seen him coming through here about 70 miles an hour past the park.
You're gonna get them whether you have trolls all the time.
So I lived in a place that we had a lot of speeders, and we talked to the city about speed humps. And they said, oh, we won't do anything for speed. I'm like, well, they'll go airborne. So is that a potential for any?
That's a county road, not a city street, and you already talked about that years ago, and they'll go.
Well, since we have a new world here and we have a better relationship, might that be something?
Maybe something to check into.
Mayor, that could
We
be
can say.
reassessed with,
That's definitely something that we can
County.
check into,
And look at
because
that.
last time when they told us no, we had a whole different administration.
yes. It's a different world now, so perhaps.
On the
It's
list.
just, it's just spaced out the cars, they wouldn't know why they're doing it.
Yeah. Not Dukes of Hazzard.
Last up, my grand jury duty ends the end of this month, so thankfully I will no longer be losing an additional day every month, every week to indicting people. Or not indicting, I'm not at liberty to say. There you go. Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, so I know it really is terrible. I think 2 weeks ago, I actually got sick in the middle of the week. So in addition to losing jury time, I lost time here. So that really just screwed me up on a number of things. So thankfully that's going to end in May. And then after June, the legislature will be over and I can start being a functional human being again. Any questions? Yeah.
Water report. Water loss last month was right at 5%. The last week and a half to 2 weeks, water consumption has increased by 5,000 to 7,000 gallons a day.
Wow.
Yesterday, when I looked at the reservoir at about 2 o'clock, I noticed that the gauge had moved. So I went inside to the PLC, checked levels, and the reservoir was down 1,000 gallons. It was back up today. I don't know if people are filling their swimming pools or what, and hopefully it's not a sign of what's coming. But that's less than 1% of the reservoir.
And it's not against the rules to fill your swimming pool unless we're on water restrictions, right?
What?
It's not against the rules to fill
No,
unless
no.
we're on water restrictions.
I just wanted you guys to be aware that it's starting to fluctuate a little bit. The wonderful cameras across the street. They're nice, but they are constantly pinging the city's phone. Every time a spider does a nest on them,
Notification.
and every time people go by, the box elder bugs like setting it off. So I have been during the daytime, either putting it in snooze mode or turning the cameras off during the day. The thing with snooze mode is it still sends the clip and you have to clear each individual clip. They're 5 seconds long. So during the day I can get 80 clips. So I gotta sit there and clear those. I need to research the program and see if there's a little bit different way of handling that.
The cameras, we have 2 different systems at our house. We're not paranoid, but you can adjust the angle and the sensitivity.
I can adjust the sensitivity and I have done that, but then they don't pick up people going around. So I've also thought about possibly relocating them. And we'll see. But just so you guys are aware, they're not necessarily on during the day right now. Streets, Westview near Maple, we have a ditch line that the water main runs in. And there's trees, probably 12 to 15 trees, fir and coniferous, growing in the ditch. There's about, I guess, 20 to 30 feet tall. Probably we want to look at getting rid of those. I have no way of disposing of the stuff. I don't know if we want to look at hiring or getting bids to have that cleaned up. If somebody's got a chipper truck and stuff.
Is that the one coming down to the 1.5?
No, it's Westview.
Okay.
You go up Maple, turn right on Westview, and it's what 50 feet from the corner on the ditch line there.
And so,
Almost across from her house.
and although I hate to say it, but Westview is like city, not city, right?
Yeah.
So is it,
It's city property, it's just the street itself is privately owned public right away.
I just hate to see those trees continue to grow and then affect the water main. I'm just throwing it out there, we don't have to do it right now. I don't know what OSHA requirements are for fallen trees, so I don't know if I could just go do it. But there are two, you want one person running a chainsaw cutting trees down, it's probably not the smartest idea.
Sounds like we're gonna have a little extra money in the budget for streets coming up anyway, so maybe we can visit it then, right?
Okay, yeah, I just want to throw that out
I'd
there.
like to look at what you got with the properties too. I was inspecting when they put all that water line in down that. What would you have next?
I don't want to say the address or the name on record, but I would like to have council members check out an address on Vine Street. To get your input on possibly how we should handle the situation. I will say something about residents, that way most people know what I'm talking about. The home has no power and it has no water service. They have a trailer full of trash across the street. They have trailers in their backyard full. They have, lack of a better word, like a sunroom and a carport full of it. And I'm sure it's attracting all kinds of pleasant rodents. So I'm not sure where to go with that. So I'd like to get some input from you guys. And I think if you go see it, then it'll help you. And I'm happy off the record to give you that.
And is it like a health and safety issue?
I would personally, I would think yes.
Yeah, this sounds like it would be a public nuisance that we could enforce under our ordinances.
And is there any, I hate rule, is there any guidance as far as you have to have water or electricity?
I don't know off the top of my head, but we can look at that. I don't think you have to at a home, but it sounds like there's more than enough public nuisances going on at this property.
I'm just concerned with sewage. I know who it is. You know that you just go enforce some stuff on them. But I guess that's the difference between a little compassion and following rules.
It's been growing worse
Yeah,
and worse
I
over
was
the last.
gonna say
years.
the last couple of weeks, it's gotten pretty rowdy over there.
There's
Speaking of,
quite frequently, could be different cars there when I drive by.
speaking of social programs, I mean, maybe there's something we could do in that direction too, right?
Possibly, yeah, I'm reaching out for some.
Years ago, we had this city cleanup days and we actually went down and helped one resident, gave them a whole bunch of junk tires, stuff like that, to clean up their property to help the city safety.
Right.
And, we quit that a long time ago because, abused the fact.
I know they have some hardship cases for electricity and stuff like that. So, we've already talked
My
about.
understanding is the city also has a lien on that property. So I don't know that for absolute, that's what I was told.
That's as easy as just going down to the surveyor.
Yeah. So.
And the text. I'm pretty good.
There you go.
So then the Habitat House up on Ridge today, Brownsville came over and watched me hot tap their water main or our water main to get them metered.
That worked out for you.
It was good. It was really easy. I
Yeah.
figured it was, but they came over and they kind of
But
guided me.
you say we don't have, we can do that anymore.
Right.
Right?
Right.
Yeah, we had, what it would cost to get something like that. I mean, I know we used to have it. Used
I
to do
was
it.
told it's about $2,000 and we only probably will ever do one or two more. So I don't think that's, and I can borrow it from Brownsville. I could probably borrow it from Sweet Home, Lebanon.
Maybe you have to rent it for a little bit of money. It'd be better than having to pay for the thing.
Yeah, for as often as we need to do that.
Because we cannot be growing bigger,
The other house, the Habitat has, or a house property that they have down by the charter school in St. Louis. That one potentially has a 1-inch line going to the meter. It's currently there feeding another residence. And we'll tee off of that one.
I think which one that was too.
Right across from
that. That one caused a lot of problem in the city way back when. I've told you about that story, so.
So then my last thing is I may need to request vacation around the 20th of June. My sister might be moving from Nevada to Kentucky And she needs somebody to drive a big truck for her across the country. Date's not solid, and it's not solid if she's gonna need my help or not. I wanted to let you guys know if there's any objections. It's about a 3-day drive probably. And then I can fly back, so I'll probably stay there for a day or two. And
Am I gonna ride it back?
I'm only first up there and her. It's all hers from there. Yeah.
From the back. I think it'd be okay.
It's okay.
Yeah, it's probably cooler
It's hot in
outside.
here.
It is hot. Probably open the window.
I'm gonna say, if you open the window, you get a cross breeze. And I think you want to turn your everything off.
I just I don't want to come last minute and say, hey, man,
He'd get taken
here's my notice. She just asked me today.
He'd get full change.
While we're on the subject, my wife and I want to take our late honeymoon in July, so. After you're done.
I'm done.
I mean, after you're done on vacation.
Unless there's any questions, I'm done.
So you want to be gone.
A week, probably, yeah.
Okay, you can move to adjourn now.
Let's finish new business. So resolution 23-03. LGIP transfer.
So this is our our bi-monthly resolution to transfer money into our LGIP account. So first up, we received $6,200 in the account that we can send to our operating account. The other thing is that if we recall the ordinance we passed with the rate increase, $2 out of every water bill that goes now is supposed to go into our equipment repairs and maintenance line item for water, and we're storing that in the LGIP account so that it doesn't get mingled up with everybody else and lost, like has happened before. Yeah. So this resolution allows me to transfer the money from LGIP that we received from those outside sources into the operating account, and then back into the equivalent of that $2 amount into the LGIP account. So that's $248. So there'll be like a net amount. Are you seeing a discrepancy?
No, I was just gonna say, on the second sentence, did
Yeah.
we bill $125 for customers, or we billed 125 customers? That dollar sign?
Oh yeah, we built 125
Okay.
customers. So yeah,
So you need a move?
yep, need a motion.
So I move to adopt resolution 2303.
I second the motion. No doubt. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
City excavation policy.
Yep. So the mayor asked me to put this on the agenda. We have city excavation policy is governed by 3 different documents. Ordinance 205, going all the way back to 2002, is our main ordinance establishing the Sodaville fill and excavation standards. Ordinance 1701, section 2 has some additional information. That's our fee ordinance that talks about how much it costs to apply to excavate and how much it costs to actually excavate. And then number 3, in 2004, we signed an IGA with Lynn County so that they're in charge of a lot of the enforcement there. But it's been 20 years since we talked about this, and the mayor believes it's time to talk about it again, because that's a long time to go without talking about something.
So basically, anytime you move dirt on your property, you pay for it. And so I think that in Sodaville, I mean, I can see it as a permit issue, if somebody's gonna build a new house and they're gonna move a bunch of dirt and they're gonna change their whole property, I can see that. But I don't know about you guys, but I move dirt on my property all the time. Everybody here does.
That's not right. I mean, being in a small community and you got somebody just over the hill that can do it. Basically up, and then a house or two later, you got to do it, right?
I mean, you got the same issues, right? I mean, your property's anything like mine, you have nothing but rocks, right? So you're not out there picking a shovel, I guarantee you that. So you're gonna be excavating to do just about anything. I mean, it was always a joke back in the day whenever we heard, excavator or a chainsaw or something like that, somebody's out doing their yard work, right?
Yeah.
That's what it has to be out here.
Well, I mean, I think the toughest thing is like determining we need a good definition of excavation. I mean, I would say excavation would be anything you're using a piece of equipment for, excavator, bobcat, and if you're moving driveway lines or whatnot. I mean, if you're out pulling a tree out of the ground, I don't know if that would be considered excavation, but I mean, if you're changing your driveway approach or you're pulling stuff out of the ditch or you're leveling something for a new building, I think that would all apply underneath that. But if you're just backblading your driveway with gravel, I don't think that would be considered. So I mean, we need to have a clear definition of what we think excavation is. I mean, I think we have an understanding of that, but I think we can interpret that many ways.
If you go around the town, you'll see people that have got truckloads of dirt being dumped on their property.
Yeah.
They're putting gravel down on their driveway. You know, I'm on a hill. I don't want to be on a hill so much. I want to move part of my hill down.
Yeah.
You know, get
Make
the
more
runoff.
yard.
Yeah, make more yard, get the runoff to stop. The guy, what's his name? I don't remember his name. Your son-in-law's father, or your son's father-in-law, Lonnie. You know, the work that Lonnie did on his property was because his place was being flooded. And there was a huge ordeal over him straightening out the property that had got messed up before.
It's not
You
only,
know, everybody wanted him to, well, not everybody, but I think the old administration wanted him to pay a whole bunch of money to excavate this property.
it's not only that, just to put in a garden, if I want to put a garden in, I need a tractor or something to do that. Because I mean, you can't even get a rototiller up there just to bust that stuff up, right? So I mean, you need a cat or a bobcat, like you were saying, just to go up there and break the rocks out to get good enough soil put up, just put a garden in. So
It
it's
makes
a little different to being in the valley or,
It also makes a difference when you're gonna impact someone else's property next door, because on your property alone, instead of, if you take another part like that. Part of this was enacted when they was building above me there.
yes.
That was designed out to be double wide mobile homes. Someone wanted to put one in there. And they didn't have enough pad for that, so they started digging and destroying the floor in the neighbor's garage up the hill from them because they just started to stop taking dirt out and put the trailer house in there.
Right.
Next door neighbor's trailer swapped the house, garage falling down.
I think that was more of a permitting issue.
Yeah.
Than anything.
Yeah.
I think if somebody's gonna get a permit and build a big shop or a new house or something like that, I can see the excavation.
But we have
I do
permits
see
for
that as well.
driveways, right? If you want to do something with the
Yes.
driveway, there's a permit for that, so.
Yes.
I mean, I think we should, not that I want to find is the wrong word. We're a small community that doesn't intake a lot of taxes or whatnot, so anything we can do to just help for future infrastructure would be good to have. I think it's hard. I mean, I moved to the country so I could do whatever I want within
And that's what
within
that's the
reason,
point I
right?
get.
And that's where we need to get that definition. I came and got a building permit for my new shop. Obviously with the shop driveway and stuff is all a part of that. So is there another? So would that be, does the building permit cover the shop and then you get an excavation permit to do the driveway into the shop? Or is the driveway all included?
I think the
Underneath
driveway is
that.
separate from that as well.
Yeah, so I mean, so I'm learning.
Yeah.
We need more
Learning that
definitions
now.
of that.
Yeah,
And I mean,
That's,
everyone that's moved here within the last 5 years, you can drive by and watch them widen in their property lines and, I'm all for that, but. But here's something that also comes in play with that TDML.
Yeah.
Type of thing. When we start cutting stuff, we're changing drainage, that's affecting. And you can see how much, like when you put in all the
stuff down there, it flowed down into the next person's yard and then, or like, when Ray or cut the trees up there, all that dirt's piling down onto the roads. That's just some examples of
Yeah,
things that here affect there.
yeah, we need to properly regulate, but it doesn't seem like there's an appetite for making this a money-making scheme. Right now, so our fee ordinance says you have to, I think it's like $1,000 to apply or something like that. Let me make sure. It's it's $60. Something else is $1,000. There are a lot of fees, so. Yeah, okay, so for 50 cubic yards or less, it's $15. For less than 100, it's $22.50. For between 11,000 to 10,000. So
That's cubic yards.
yeah, cubic yards. So for the first 1,000, after 1,000, the first 1,000 is $170. Each additional cubic yard after that up to 10,000 is $9. Then it starts over again at 10,000. First 10,000 cubic yards is $200. Each additional 10,000 is $40. And then if you reach 100,000, then it's 562 yards to start. And then each additional 100,000 after that is $22.50.
Nobody does.
Everybody laughing? Everybody's laughing. I don't even know. Nobody shows me how much dirt. Hey, can you measure this dirt for me? It's not happening.
Yeah, don't truck do 12 yards, isn't it, right?
No.
So I guess, what are we trying to address here? Just we need to revamp it?
Yeah.
Trying to want to do enforcement?
Unless it's a permit issue, for building something, I think we need to get rid of it. I think if I want to take my tractor out and rototill my land flat, that should be it.
Gotcha. So we want, basically want to change the ordinances around. So there's just it's a permit process. We're not charging for the amount of dirt that's excavated.
So what are you gonna need a permit for? To use a rototiller to make a garden?
No, I mean, if you're gonna put in big shots, you gotta have. a
Right,
permit
right.
Anyway.
But you're talking about leveling out to make a garden. Are you saying you need a permit to do that?
And that was an example.
I don't think you should.
I don't think so either.
We'd have to match it against the ordinance and see if I can.
Say if you were to bring in loan to put in your garden. That ordinance says you have to. commit to it. So if you call Central Park out there and have them bring the phone. Not only pay them for it, you gotta pay the city. Exactly. To have it done.
So if you wanted the garden pit on his rock hill, it would cost him double.
Yeah.
So I totally respect the fact that making sure we have an infrastructure, but I also have an issue with stepping out the neck of people who, this is a small community, we don't have a lot of millionaires, so. If they're dying people.
Yeah, usually you're not doing it if it damage. It's doing it better.
That's the whole thing. I've got water defense down. I got big mud holes.
Okay.
Is there any kind of a ordinance that says I did something and it caused problems on your property, so I'm responsible?
That's at the end of the other.
Yeah. So what we did, rather than writing our own excavation ordinance, was adopt by reference the Uniform Building Code 1997 edition is promulgated by the International Conference of Building Officials. So there's however long that is, we just say, yeah, whatever that is what we do.
That's always my
I
problem.
don't even know, the International Conference of Building Officials, who knows what edition they have now.
Yeah. That's why I don't know. Man, how do you get?
Oh, yeah, that's.
No, we should.
No. Just
No,
mess with
we
that.
didn't.
I would be interested in doing something like any type of new permitting for a building would require a driveway permit also. Or if you're doing excavation on a large scale, not just cutting the garden in, but I mean, if you're bringing in a dump truck full of gravel, I think it ought to be like a $25 permit. That's what I think. That's my
Per
two cents.
foot or?
Just for the
Like the
permit,
guy
just,
brought
no,
up
I'm saying, no,
right?
just for the permit. I wanna redo this, it don't matter what I'm doing, here's my $25 and you're free at will to do whatever you want for that. Allotted, whatever, it lasts for like a building permit, 180 days. You haven't done anything in 180 days, you're re-permitted.
So devil's advocate, I want to re-gravel my driveway.
Yeah.
Why do I need to pay a permit for that?
Well, I'm just
No,
I'm just
and
throwing it out there.
challenging you, I'm just-
I don't know why. I just think you should.
Okay.
I mean, but it's just, that's my opinion. I'm not gonna defend it. That's what I think.
So what happens if Joe Citizen, Friday, I'm not here, or I don't remember this rule. And Joe Citizen brings in 2 or 3 loads of rock. And then Monday I see it in the ditches. Where do you go from there? He's already done it, so you can't really get a permit to him. And he could just say,
Well,
no,
Well, it does, I mean, what are we doing right now?
we're not.
We're not even
we're not
enforcing
doing
it. So I
anything.
mean, you could do that too. You could implement it and just not enforce it.
So
So
why not just
I,
get rid of
I
it?
think the idea of a permit gives somebody who is negatively affected by somebody doing something wrong, some standing to go, hey, your permit was only for X, Y, and Z, and you got your stuff all over my property. That becomes a public nuisance.
You know, when you take out a permit to do a building or a house or something like that, you have the inspector come out and say, yes, you can do this and it's not gonna affect any of
Or
this
yes,
stuff.
you can continue on.
I can see getting a permit for that. But if you've got a driveway and the gravel is wore out and you need to put more gravel on it, it's an existing driveway. It's not gonna hurt anything.
So on that note, I do agree with what you're saying earlier, as far as, I mean, a new building, shop area, driveway, something like that, then yeah, you need to permit it for cosmetic reasons around the place. I don't see any reason why we need to enforce that stuff. Not if it's not affecting, anybody else.
And we do have on Spring Street. A gentleman hauled in a bunch of gravel and backfilled the ditches, blocking the culverts. That's on the county road. So they called the county and, well, you can't get a permit until he takes care of it. We don't even know the county stopped it. And none of it's been cleaned up. And it's been about 2 months now.
Yeah. Well, I think
Sticky situation.
we need a lot more information, so what I'll just do is contact the county and go, okay, we want to revisit this IGA we have, and then use that as a backdoor to go, please tell me what's going on here. Hopefully the people who are there now, were at least involved in 2004. That's kind of a hit or miss. But it's a start. So I think what we need to do next is just get a lot more information out, what we're doing, what all of these references are actually being enforced here. It's like I said, the 1997 version of a building code, when there's a 2021 version, that's a pretty big gap in our ability to enforce anything. So yeah, we need information first. I think the next city council meeting, we could just have a better presentation about all of this and then get some more concrete changes to our ordinances so that we know what we're doing. Sound fair?
I think so.
Okay,
I mean, that we're gonna go by that, but I
alrighty.
think it sounds fair to get more information.
Yeah, he knows what we do.
Yeah, it takes a couple years to do that.
Does it true that if there's not a written complaint, it really can't even be enforced anyway?
So right now, given our low level of city resources, we usually only enforce an ordinance violation if there is a complaint violated by a citizen. Yeah, there's the administrative burdens placed on staff are such that we can't really prioritize ordinance violation enforcement without a citizen bringing a complaint. Is that enough legalese for you?
I don't even know what to say.
There's a lot of illegal. Nothing's
Yes.
gonna happen unless somebody speaks up.
So basically, this one's getting tabled for now, right?
Yeah, tabled, we need more information and we'll get more information next time around. Hopefully we get a PowerPoint, that could be fun.
Yeah, those are always fun.
Yeah.
What do we have for old business?
Not much.
I have a question. How are we doing for billing on water? Are people paying? Do we have many people in the arrears and on payment plans? And are we on top of that?
Yeah, more people are using the community services, consortium. So that's helping people pay for stuff. What else we got? This month, I think there were only 4 people who, had late bills to pay. The last few months, we've been a lot, more regular about cracking down and going, hey, you really need to pay this. And because there are some people who only pay when they get a notice. And it's like, yeah, sure. So, that's, we're not being as nice about it anymore to repeat offenders.
It's not niceness, it's fairness.
It's fairness, yeah.
It's
Well,
not fair to the people who make it every month.
they signed a contract saying their water would be turned off if they didn't pay for it. So,
So
And we have resources for them to get help.
one of the reasons that the mayor of Lebanon came to visit is because one of our citizens called him and complained that we're being unfair with our water. And so he called me and we talked about it.
Okay.
JD has done a bunch of research into it. Their water usage, they don't really seem to have a leak, is they can go from not using any water to using 600 gallons a day. And they've got a faucet that the neighbor could be stealing some of their water.
probably best not to address this at the moment.
Well, I know since we got our water bills, I've been kind of shocked.
Well, 'tis the season.
Is the
Start,
season.
for me, I start gardening and up they go.
Like I said, last week and a half, 5,000 to 7,000 gallons a day more usage. Washing with dirt.
That's called sandblasting.
So we're on to new business or?
Yeah, this is old business, council reports. Yeah, whatever you want.
So I attended COG meeting today and I asked for a printed copy of all the information. They have a lot of reporting. And I took notes and I asked for this so that anybody who would like to read it would have it. So I'll leave it with Alex if somebody's interested. One of the most, and it's kind of a little bit uncomfortable to talk right in front of you, but one of the things that kind of stood out for me was that there is the discussion of purchasing a building in Benton County and Corvallis, right? And if I misspeak, talk to me about this.
But that conversation happened in executive session.
Okay, so that can't be shared?
Please.
Okay, so never mind, I'm not sure. More to come when it can be discussed. Glad you were here.
Well, it's a delightful read, because there's a 100-page budget document, so those of you who just got elected to a budget committee, congratulations. And then there's not to be outdone by a budget document, there's a 100-page audit document, so.
And there's information about the programs.
Yeah, I would like to ask the council, that's Elm Street goes down between my property and below me. It's getting pretty bad. That's one of the city with mine. I did some. Them out of my own pocket, put some rock down there, make that more comfortable. So when I go down that steep hill, get my trailer stuff down my little piece of property, it's really hard to drop off that, but when the top ends, you got about a 3-foot drop. It's really hard to sidewalks my trailers. My tires, when you go off there, down to 20 feet there. That's one of the city be having any problems, me putting some rock coming down, maybe widening it out a bit so it makes it easier to try to go up and down that street.
As long as you pull your estimation.
Huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good one.
It's,
Good one.
as soon as it's on city property, it's on the. That's why that's good. Huh?
Yeah, that's, that is basically volunteer work, so yeah.
Yeah.
See anything wrong with that?
Okay, I just want to make sure it's okay, because I'd like to fill that, at least on the whole of the top side, so people if, like when the UPS trucks go down there, if they hit that canyon, it's right, they're gonna, probably good chance, good chance of rolling over, or putting in a ditch down below. Bouncing down that
Exactly,
hillside.
about there's a asphalt apron. And so when you get up there to stop, the rear wheels are off the apron, and so you're just spinning trying to get.
Well, that's, I was gonna address that. We got a concrete runner, yeah, but it was.
You're to blame for all my broken Christmas gifts, huh? Now I know, now I know.
That street years ago, when the first one in Sodaville, had two concrete paths about 12 inches wide, come with. But back with Chuck Bonix was mayor, he decided to have them put asphalt on top of that. They only put about a stick, just put asphalt over the top of the concrete. So now you got asphalt on top of the concrete, then it's round shoulders, and then going up and down that hill. If it gets off the concrete, it just goes around out there.
I'm glad that we got the new meters, so I don't have to go down there, because that heck, in that city, heck, up there.
Shit for
Yes, all for it.
them. Okay.
Public comment.
Yeah, again, first time was because I was a request, this time it's a kudos. So I just want to say what a pleasure it has been building our home up there for our family, our Carter family, and working with JD. He's been phenomenal, and answers my questions when I'm like, hi, you better come here because you look at this. So today when I showed up on the job site, I had to give them all crud because I can see when all city employees are doing, because they're all standing around with their hands in their pockets. Little did I know that JD was the one in the hole, learning how to do the tap, and which was pretty cool to see how that was doing it. And the guys from Brownsville were awesome, teaching JD how you do it and everything, and they let him have his hands in there and well, hands-on. You got total hands-on experience today. And then I was taking pictures, so they're standing around and I see the water coming out, so I'm very excited. And my homeowners were there doing their sweat equity today, and they got to see that, so they were excited to see water finally coming towards the house, that they're going to have that. So but I just wanted to say I need to spend a lot of time with Alex, besides paying excavation permit fees and other fees. But the majority of my time I've been up all week because of my GC has been busy, and so I'm the second in charge for GC. So I got to put on my GC hat instead of my executive director hat today. And so we see him every single day. I'm trying to figure out how we can help each other with one thing or another. So, but we've appreciated all of the help, and I'm sorry about all the complaints from a couple of homeowners around there that we've had things that we've had to deal with, but it's been a pleasure. And I'm excited about building the second home down by the school when we're able to get to that point. So
Thank you for sharing.
yeah, it's been a pleasure. I just love up here in this little town and being able to see it. I don't think you guys can grow much more.
No.
Yeah, I don't think you can.
People like me, we start.
Yeah, JD informed me that. I said, is there any more property up here I could do? Because it's a nice, quaint little community. And he's like, yeah, everybody that owns property up here, nobody wants to.
I think there's about 3 of us that's blocking this grown.
Yeah, too big a lots, because the city ordinance says you can have half acre lot per house. Well, I own almost 4 acres. I can own 10, 8. And a couple other members own more than that, so that kind of limits.
No, I just love you. Huh?
And I don't have water.
No.
water.
Yeah, you don't have, and that's what we're helping our new owners with that water situation as well. We put a big tank up there that we will make sure is filled for them to be able to do the irrigation with their garden and lawn and whatnot, because that's part of when we build a home, we also put in the landscape. And so we're making sure that.
You put a cistern out behind the house there somewhere?
Yeah, we did.
Good.
They'll have a pump on it and then we'll fill it. And then they will know that they cannot fill that with
City water.
city water. They don't need to have a try. And I said, Jackman has that Nick Tankerson right there. And you just talk to him and find out what he'll charge you to put 5,000 gallons of water in that thing. So anyway.
Any other public comment?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Actually,
That's something.
Council, I would like somebody to make a motion to enter into executive session under ORS 192-660, section 2, subsection F.
He's on his phone telling you.
And yeah, to consider information or records exempt from law, exempt by law from public inspection, to review documents covered by attorney-client privilege
Okay.
that the public cannot view. So the motion is to adjourn into executive session under
I make a
ORS,
motion to
adjourn into executive session under ORS
ORS
192
192
660,
660,
section 2,
section 2,
subsection F.
section F.
Whatever.
That was easy.
Thank you for not putting me in this.
Right?
You're welcome.
I hate being in executive session.
It's fun.
Just tell them that, Alex.
Not
Say
supposed to.
executive session, get out.
Yeah.
Good night. Check in when this is on.